Business with a servant's heart. Welcome to the podcast. Inspiration, motivation takes. Listen to the podcast. We're all about to talk about life. Our guests will share their life story. We want you to success in life and business. We're ready and we will start shortly. We're gonna talk about life. We're going to speak on business. You're gonna shine bright. We are going to witness. Business with a servant's heart. With hosts Steve, Ramona, and Ray. Inspiration, education talks. Listen to the podcast.
Welcome, everyone, to Doing Business with a Servant's Heart podcast. Doing business and life with a purpose, serving others, and yes, achieving success. I'm your host, Steve Ramona. We created this show for you because we want everyone to be motivated, inspired, and educated to make an impact in your world. I want you to think about as you listen to my awesome guest today, and he is truly awesome. How will you serve today? So go out and serve today after this show, or when you listen to the show. And then the most important thing to me is what impact will you create today? I want to thank my sponsors, pitchdb.com. Be a guest in over 3 million podcasts. Speak at over 11,000 conferences and much more. Build your thought leader platform with incredible opportunities to show who you really are. Now, my guest today, I've known for a few months. We're in a mastermind together. But besides that, as I've learning about Andrew, he is a rock star. If you want to make an impact when you speak, present a workshop, do a webinar, and you want to just really blow it up and make it big, this is what he does. Andrew, welcome to the show.
Awesome. Thanks for having me, Steve. I really appreciate it.
You talk a lot when you've done some presentations in our group about storytelling. That's what the presentation's about. Talk about that and how that works.
So storytelling is one of the most powerful super weapons that people don't realize is a thing. Often we think of storytelling as being this frou-frou thing, or, oh yeah, it's nice if I just want to do like a human interest piece, or I'm going to tell about my background or that. There was a study that was done by an angel investor company, or an angel investor. They had 67 investors, 215 pitches, 15 minutes pitch, 15-minute Q&A. They found the number one reason why these small startups would get money is because of their story, because of their CEO's passion and that story coming through. Because the investors had already looked at the P&Ls, they already looked at projections, they already looked at the numbers, they knew that it was a solid business deal. They wanted to hear that story behind why that person does it, because those are the people that stick around the longest, are the ones that have a why. And when we ask about our why is often backed up by a story. And so that's really something that is incredibly powerful. Think about it back to when you're a kid. You're listening to your parents or grandparents tell a story. You will remember every detail of those stories. Our brains are hardwired to learn via stories. And it's really important that we incorporate that into what we're doing as far as sales is concerned, or even beyond sales, building a tribe around us. Really, those stories are an integral part of it. They cause a lot of really cool brain stuff to happen. You're telling a story to somebody, your brainwaves sync. It's kind of really cool. Stuff like that.
Yeah.
That's what happens when your mom's a shrink, is stuff like this.
I love it.
It also makes it a lot easier. It's, I hate those presentations on stages where I just stand there and it's like, you're obviously pitching me something. Just get to the damn sale. I don't want to hear it. I don't want to hear any more of this fluff. Just get to your sale and be done. Whereas with a storytelling side of things, it's more, let me hear why you do it. Let me get around your campfire. Let me learn what you're doing. And you end up getting a tribe of people who will buy just about anything you put out there, just because they're, you're serving them, you're giving them something that they need. And some of that will resonate with people.
And the cool thing, right, Andrew, everybody has a story. Everybody.
Yeah. Everyone.
No matter what age.
Yep.
So you learn about that story, you craft that story, you not make it better, but you hone it down for them before they make their presentation. Is that the idea of this?
Absolutely. So what I do is think about the old joke where you went into your accountant with a shoebox of receipts and said, here, you fill it out, you figure it out. I do that with your stories, and I do that with your content itself in a presentation. So I actually have a process that I go through. It's more like a podcast. It's actually one of the reasons when I think it was you who recommended, hey, why don't you go out and do a podcast? It made sense because it was what I did.
Yeah.
We sit, we have a chat, I ask a bunch of questions. What I'm doing when I go through this process, though, is I'm asking specific questions You're an expert in your field. You can jump from point A to point F in a single bound. I'm looking for B, C, D, and E to kind of fill in those blanks, make sure it makes sense, make sure the timeline makes sense, all in the background. So this is all something that I do while I'm listening to like your origin story, how you came across your awesome special widget that you have and that you're selling, how how much this has impacted people's lives, how much it's impacted your life, what you've done. I'm looking for those kind of stories in the background as well. Yeah.
That's powerful. I like the A to F because we forget B, C, D, E might draw somebody to your product or widget, and you're missing out if you go A to F.
Yeah. It makes it so it helps people make sense. We're experts. I had a good friend of mine and a client who I've been with for almost 8 years. And we were trying to teach infinite banking. And infinite banking is very hard because it doesn't make sense. Your brain makes memories by taking an old memory, taking it down, tweaking it a little bit, and then popping it out and making it into a new memory. But if you disrupt this process, your brain calls BS is what happens. It's part of our fight or flight mechanism. And it's called cognitive dissonance. And the problem with a really complicated thing is cognitive dissonance is a problem. If I have this really difficult thing to tell, plus I'm jumping from A to F and missing a whole bunch of stuff in the middle, you will lose sales very, very quickly. We're so much experts. I tell people, try to tie your shoes or try to show somebody how to tie their shoes. If you have kids, it's really hard.
Yeah.
So that's part of what we do is to identify those middle grounds and to be able to come up with some sort of a connection that people can have to your product,
Okay.
Yeah. And you specifically.
Yeah. So I'm kind of thinking, I always pick plumbers. I don't know why. My dad was never a plumber. He's a contractor. So I'm a plumber. I come into somebody's house and I go, I'm going to fix your pipe. And that's it.
Yeah.
Without the stuff in between. Hey, I need to do this. I need to buy, kind of like that work order. That's kind of what you're doing is filling in all those gaps of what that work is going to be for that product or service. So as me, the potential client understands it better, right?
That's correct. Absolutely. So I get a much, much better idea. I think I'm going to terribly butcher this quote, but I think it was Russell Brunson that said that if somebody doesn't understand what you're doing, that's a no, because they're confused. They don't know what you do, or you have so many things going on. They don't understand what you're doing. And, that's something that I kind of help as an outside person. So this came to me. I've been in the learning industry for almost 20 years. I've trained for some of the top companies. And that was one of the biggest things we had to do is to teach somebody how to use something. And so it went part and parcel with being able to help somebody tell their story and to be able to fill in those blanks as an outside objective observer standing back going, nobody's going to get this. Let's fill some blanks in. Stuff like that. Yeah.
When the secret sauce that I also learned is during your presentation, PowerPoint, whatever, talk about that. I know I remember, and I've changed all my PowerPoints because of you. This guy's a genius, guys, because it made a difference when I did my last presentation. It will work is less is better than more. Instead of having those paragraphs and 25 bullet points. Talk about that.
The wall of text. So I call it visual junk food. And the reason I call it visual junk food, I think it's a great analogy because what it ends up doing, it might make you feel good, but there's no nutritional value. It's just a wall of bullet points. And what happens is your brain has this thing where if it sees words, it needs to process them. And so if you have this wall of text that you have in front of you, what the audience is doing is they're paying attention to that text on the screen. They are not listening to you. They have zoned out. And what we want to do, your slide should be backup singers. They should be there to kind of, backup singers will kind of sing that, the key words in the verse, that's it. Just to kind of accentuate it, give a little extra to it. They should never take over. And so what that visual junk food does is people should be focused 100% on you. They should not be focused 100% on your slides. And that's what happens when you get this. And it just looks ugly. I mean, it's really not the greatest. It's not a good look. And it makes it look like you kind of tried. I had somebody I was helping with an event a while ago, and one of the speakers came in with literally white background, black text, top to bottom. And it's like, nobody's getting anything from this. And so I kind of had to bite my tongue a wee bit, picked up a new client.
I love it. You're so awesome. That's great. Well, and let's flip the story. How about visuals? How important are they?
Visuals are amazing. When they say a picture has 1,000 words or a picture tells 1,000 words, it is 100% true. Sometimes a brief visual will be enough to help somebody to get a concept. Because what you're doing is you're not selling product, you're selling a concept of something. You're selling, what's the big view of things. You don't want to get really into the weeds on it when you're doing a presentation. You only have 30, 45 minutes. You don't want to go too deep into it, but sometimes just showing a wheel. There was one that we did. I did this one for a client when we got infinite banking, and we showed this wheel of how your money flows out of your policy into, that's and then back again. And that's all it took. It was pretty simple, but it was enough to give it often filled in some of those blanks that people had. So they can go and say, okay, well, oh, now this makes sense. This is where this comes in. We have them put money into a segregated bank account. Oh, that's how that works. This is how I pay it back. And it helped a lot with that cognitive dissonance. Yeah.
I'm going to back you up. I know infinite bank. I've talked to 4 or 5 guys. It is complex.
It
for
is.
you to break it down is gold for you. So the winner is when somebody says, oh, it makes sense. When you hear some type of phrase like that, your presentation hit a grand slam.
Oh, yeah. Those are the words I love hearing are, oh, it makes sense, or dude, you're awesome is the other one. Because again, part of the presentations that I'm building are to build a tribe. And like infinite banking, a lot of people know infinite banking, but I want to learn it specifically from Steve Ramona. I want to learn it specifically from Chris Noggle. I want to learn it specifically from this person. And you build that tribe around you as well. And if somebody resonates with you and says, man, you just completely changed my life with that presentation, that's also the other thing I love hearing as well.
So I love what you just said. The like, know, and trust is important.
Yeah.
But you got to have a great presentation behind it. If you go, I love Steve Ramona, man, he's the great guy. I do a presentation, they're gone.
Yeah.
That's a powerful connection there. So the presentation is huge.
Mm-hmm.
And let me add this. And I teach this with entrepreneurs, free webinars.
Yeah.
Help people.
Yep.
That's the ROI of getting more clients. If you have a bad presentation, those people don't get it, they're not going to be signing up for your product or service.
True. This didn't make sense to me at first, because when I was first in business, I'll take whatever the hell I can get. You're in that first couple of years of business where you're just like, yeah, I'll take whatever, because you're that state of desperation. You're trying to get your baby up and going. You're trying to kind of give birth to this thing, to use an analogy. And that's really important to get that first parts. Then I heard a mentor say, give your best stuff away for free. And I'm like, what have you been smoking? That doesn't make sense to me. But it does. There's a flow to things. And it's funny, when you give a presentation, when you give some of your things away for free, like with the presentation you heard me give in January, I'm telling you what I do. Basically, this is it. I walked you through the process. It's giving it away for free because for me, my business model is different. I do a done for you service. If you're not able to afford what I do, and not everyone is, I would still want to make sure that you have, a great presentation. You're able to go out and tell your story and do it in other ways. So I don't mind giving away some of the stuff that I have for free to be able to say, here, go do something good. It really gives a lot of goodwill to your customers as well, because now you look like the good guy. Hey, I really want to serve people. I'm going at this with a gratitude and humility. I want to serve you people. I really want to help folks out. I really want to help you to get, and this is my passion. I'd do it for free if I could, stuff like that. Yeah.
And I always ask questions. You've been doing this for a while, these free, you're successful. You're not homeless. You're not broke.
Yeah.
You get my point is you can still give stuff for free and be extremely successful in business, right?
Yes. Yep.
Yeah. Thank you. I love that. I'm going to say that again. Give your best stuff away for free. I just wrote that. Keep that in mind. Even when you're starting out, like you said, I need abundance. I'm struggling here. Still give your stuff away free, right?
Yeah, there's an attraction. I mean, law of attraction is a thing, and it works. And if you learn how to do it, it's not just like just sit back and go, and it'll come to me. There's some work involved, but it is very much karma is a thing. And if you start putting out there and you start giving back, things will flow to you. And it generally tends to be a lot better than what you started with. You don't get folks who have Walmart syndrome, because those folks already they're getting whatever they can for free out of your content. You get the people that are really ready to put skin in the game going, I'm going to put down. I had one client of mine say, just send me the invoice. I don't care what it is. I need to get this done. Those are the people I like working with, because they'll make the most impact. But yeah, if you want to attribute that's to a good friend and mentor, Greg Reed. He hosts Secret Knock. And so he was the one that originally said that to me. To give credit where credit is due. And that is his big thing is no selling from stage. Go out, just give stuff, be cool. Go hang out with some cool people.
I love it. And when you speak on stage, and I started to do because of you, by the way, when you did that presentation, I'm going to say it again, audience, it's changed my presentations. Right. And he did for free for our group. He never charged me, but he's going to be on my pod. There's other ways. I call it God's currency or universe currency. You put it out there, you pay it, it's going to come back and pay you back. And it's so powerful.
I do cool stuff with my friends. And that's how I do business.
Yeah.
And it's really, and you know, it's that building that tribe around you, building those people around you. I love doing that. Yeah. So I do cool stuff with my friends.
See, he's your network's your net worth. That proves it right there. So, okay, we've got these great presentations, Andrew. You know, I'm rocking and rolling. I'm ready to roll. I've got my story.
Yeah.
But I got stage fright. What do I do?
I love this question. There are so many answers to this question. So many answers to this question. I think one of my personal favorites is go out and think of the entire audience in their underwear, which doesn't
Brady Bunch.
Exactly. Doesn't work. The one, to be really transparent, just really straightforward, the one thing to remember, because what it is we get that stage fright because the fear is of being judged. That's 100% what it is. Part of it is the way our brain works. We don't like to be stared at because if I had a saber-toothed tiger staring at me, that's a really bad situation to be in. So people tend to be really kind of skittish when people are staring at them. So there's physiological in our caveman brain. So, but understanding that it just goes down to, I am scared I'm going to be judged by these people. I'm scared there's haters. I'm scared I'm going to be heckled. Biggest thing to remember is the entire audience is happier you're up there and they aren't.
Yeah.
And so understanding that it evens the playing field and it mitigates that fear of being judged. So it gets you into a mindset, not a bad mindset, but a kind of a mild mindset of you want to heckle me? You want to judge me for being up here? Come on up here. Do it. Yeah. It clears the playing field. Now it's not as much about they're going to judge me. It's now you can focus more on delivering that message that you need to deliver.
I love this. Man, I'm learning about Andrew, audience, with you. I've known him. I'm loving this guy even more. So one thing I've heard some top speakers have been on my show that I've dealt with is if I have 1,000 people in there and I've changed one person's life with my speaking gig, that's what motivates me and keeps me from stage, not so much stage, but keeps me motivated to do a great presentation.
Absolutely.
Do you feel that too?
Absolutely. It's just like you say, just like the podcast Servant Heart. It's being able to positively affect people's lives. And you know, your story, we all basically do the same thing. It's like, you know, there's a bunch of podcast hosts, there's a bunch of people that do what I do. There's a bunch of people that do business development. We don't really do anything that's 100% novel. What I'm doing is I'm attaching to a person. This person resonates with me. Really good example. So when I first read David Goggins' Can't Hurt Me, I have a connection with David. When he talks about Paradise Road, when he grew up for the first 6 years of his life, that's literally 3 miles down the road from me. So I grew up in the same area. We would have gone to the same school districts. So I have a personal connection there too, but to hear his story, a lot of that resonated with me. Like I had a lot of the same issues that he had overcome that I hadn't yet. And that just resonated. And so that's the thing that's really important though, is somebody's going to resonate with you. You're going to go out and tell someone, you know, you're going to go out and help someone. Like you said earlier, Steve, you said, look, just from that presentation, and I honestly, I'm not trying to like be, you know, unnecessarily humble or anything like that. It was okay. It was great. Okay. It was good. It has, you know, its place, but I love hearing that it positively affected your life and it positively helped you do that. And I wholeheartedly agree that is a huge thing, but that's just that it gives you that sense of joy, that sense of pleasure, that sense of purpose. I'm changing lives. And I think that at the end of the day, I heard years ago somebody saying that there was an exercise they had to go through, and it's a write your own epitaph. And while I think it's a little bit dark, I do think it's something that we can think about. Where what sort of an impact are you going to give in your life? You know, entrepreneurs, I think we have a duty to do it because we have a different way of thinking. So think about it. If you have somebody that's a 9 to 5, there's a chance they might change people's lives. But generally, if I'm working for a car insurance company, I'm not really going to change a huge number of lives. You know, if I'm a customer service rep, it's not, you know, it's a necessary thing. I don't want to talk down about it, but it's not going to make a huge impact as like an Ed Milet. You know, entrepreneurs, we have this ability, we have this why that is really, really well developed. And spreading that and helping others with that information, I think is our duty. And I really do think that.
I love that. And that's where entrepreneur, and not everybody has to be. I love the way you said 8 to 5ers. We need them everywhere. Apple needs them. Yep. Law offices, real estate down the road. And that's where you're at. We love you. We'll support you. If you're good, you know, all that great stuff. I love it because you're right. Entrepreneur can make a difference. And that difference could be you could be in your 8 to 5 cubicle and somebody's struggling with maybe a death. And you go, hey, how can I support you? Yeah, can you do this? Can you work for me? You just change somebody's lives. Yeah, is it $1 million change? No. But personally, it could be $1 million change in the universe, not money. So I love that you said that. But let's get a little on the negative side, because I think this is important. What keeps you going through hard times? Because we all have hard times. Entrepreneurs, 8 to 5ers, owners of businesses. What keeps you going?
Sheer chutzpah. Sometimes it's just, sometimes it is oppositional behavior disorder. Just going, I reject a reality and I substitute sometimes that's it. Sometimes that's really, it's just sometimes going, I have so many people who are just waiting for me to fail and I am not letting them win. That's part of it. For me, it is the number of people that I can help. It's the people out there who are entrepreneurs who want to be able to go and tell that story. Because for me, there's an amplification factor. So if I have one person that goes out and gives 100 talks based on what I've done for them, I have now, let's say there's 100 people in each one of those. I've now helped 100,000 people. I sure hope my math is right. I failed math a few times. I've helped now a large number of people. That's like a medium-sized city. And so that's really what helps me to keep going, is that the number of people I can help with what I am doing for entrepreneurs. Yeah.
So let's do a story. Then you have a hard time. Let's say it's a Friday. You had 3 meetings, 2 didn't show. One was supposed to, sign a contract with you and didn't. So it's not a very good day revenue-wise, right?
Yep.
So what is Andrew's next step when that happens to get past that hard day?
So very first thing, I'm a very strong meditator every day. And what that does is it grounds me and it keeps me from allowing, the gremlins in, essentially. So if I'm really having a terrible day like that, the very first thing I remember is, how many other people can I help next week? Because there's another day tomorrow. What can I do now to positively impact my outcome? What is my next action step? And so I don't allow a whole lot of negativity in. I don't allow it around me. If somebody starts to be like, well, you might do this, but this could also happen, I will shut that down very quickly, because that is incredibly toxic. So for me, it's just more the meditative practice is a huge thing, but also just realizing what is the next step that I can do to positively impact. I don't care if it's, dude, you folded your clothes. You didn't wait 3 to 4 business days to fold your laundry. Life admin stuff sometimes happens too. Something that I can do to move myself forward to make sure that the gremlins don't get in.
Why, he's a brother from another mother. It's exactly what I say. You have a bad day, you go out and serve somebody. Maybe it's not day tomorrow, but you move forward the needle by meditating. Because when you have a hard time, it's easy for people knocking on your door going, hey, Steve and Andrew, see, I told you so. Hey, Steve and Andrew, I told you so. And you're like, you fall deeper into that black hole. And then you go, why am I doing this presentation thing? It doesn't work, when it really does. Yes. But a few people sprinkle that negative dust onto it. Oh, I love it.
And unfortunately, it's the people that are closest to us that sometimes do that, because as entrepreneurs, especially if you're just starting out in the entrepreneurial journey, there's this sort of black hole that happens where you're transitioning between your old friends and your new friends. And no matter how hard they try, your family and your old friends what you are doing is so far outside of their experience level that they just can't help. They don't know what you need to do. They'll try to give you opinion, but you need counsel. You need somebody who's done this before. And there's been people in my life that I've had to put in timeout, where it's like, no, you can't talk to me right now. I can't, I don't need that toxic level in my life. It sounds really harsh, but I think sometimes we need to do it for the better of everything, because it might just be, I don't need to talk to you for a couple of months while I get over this hump, but then 2 years down the road, you're positively impacting their lives. So it may just be a temporary pause. Yeah.
You just described what a servant heart should do. You need to say no.
Yes.
Because you're not benefiting them. They're not benefiting you.
Yeah.
I love that timeout, 2 months, 2 years, whatever it is.
It changes your life. Cost benefit analysis is really what it is. Is this temporary cost going to be worth the long-term benefit on it? And can I help them? I mean, a lot of times you can't. My best friend, love him to death, awesome human being, great winemaker, like really good winemaker. I have been trying to get him to do a YouTube channel for like 3 years now, and he just won't do it. Sometimes you just got to go, okay, you're doing timeout for a bit.
I've Same
He would be
way.
huge. He would be a huge person in the winemaking industry. And for me, it's like his story is interesting. He left a really, really lucrative sales job to go, went back to school, became a winemaker, and has been doing that for about 7 years. And he loves it. But, he could be really, and it wouldn't be a whole lot of extra work. But sometimes it's
No.
like, you're just, we got to get you a little time
Well,
out.
as you say, yeah, you present it. If they don't take action, you can't keep presenting. I've done that with people, spent a year helping people. And I've learned, okay, I love that. I'm going to borrow that. I'm going to say, if we're on a timeout, how long? We'll see. I love asking these personal questions, and I'm interested to hear your answer. What does Andrew do on a Friday night?
I work. I don't do it on a Friday night. So what do I generally do? Usually, I usually worked on a Friday nights, but what I generally do, like for fun and stuff like that, I'm a snowboarder. I'm not good at it, but I love it. I worked with a couple of friends of mine were ex-pros, were in X Games for a while. And this was before the Olympics, kind of was doing actual snowboarding programs. And so I figured it was inevitable. And so at 44 years old, I decided I wanted to learn how to snowboard, which could work out very well or could potentially end me up in full body traction. So fortunately it was I absolutely loved doing it. Went out on a couple of lessons. I actually just went out on a snowboard trip with some friends last Thursday. We went to Brighton and Salt Lake City, which is my home base. And it is, so that is part of what I do. I've got a Jeep. I off-road. I love driving over stuff. It's great.
Talk about a great way to get over hard times. Driving over
exactly.
stuff.
Get me into 2 feet of mud and I'm real happy. A happy Jeep is a dirty Jeep.
I love it. And you moved to Utah partly because you want to snowboard, right?
Yeah. Partly.
And there are other reasons.
There's so many entrepreneurs out there. So many.
And that's true too. That's awesome. This has been incredible. Mm-hmm. Andrew, I've learned so much. I've already learned before, and I've learned so much. Audience, I know you've learned. How can people reach out to you?
So easiest way is Instagram at andrewchestnut.com. Double check the spelling. It is two T's at the end, none in the middle. My family was just very slightly sadistic. They wanted to make, and I know who's detail oriented in my life and who isn't. That helps out a little bit, but it is spelled a little bit differently. You can try that out. That is the easiest way to get a hold of me, as far as DM is concerned. Also to see what I'm up to. I also have a bunch of videos up on there that are telling you. I try to do a couple of times a week a quick tip about something that I've come across with a client where it's like, hey, this is something they had trouble with. Here's how we solve it. Here's how we deal with cognitive dissonance. Here's how we deal with this. So there's a lot of good content up there. I would strongly recommend that you go and take a look at it.
What's your website?
My website is nickelcitylearningsolutions.com.
Okay. You probably have a contact there. They can reach out there and reach out to you.
Absolutely.
And then podcast name.
Podcast, Hustle and Grind podcast. I wanted to hear the stories about entrepreneurs why that hustle and grind. Why did we change our 9 to 5 for an 8 a.m. to 10 p.m.? 6 days a week. Why did we do this? And so I want to hear those stories behind it. And that's what that is. So that'll be releasing here. I'm at episode 7 at this point. So it'll be publishing here in the next couple of days. And check my socials. I'll be posting when that is, when it's up and going in each one. I'll be posting those on my socials.
This is great. Reach out to him. Reach out on Instagram. As you can tell, guy's an expert and he cares about people. If you can't afford him, like I said, he's got the YouTube channel and Instagram. Yeah, I think his YouTube channel. But go learn from him. I'm going to do the same thing, and I've learned from him before. The other thing that he's done is educated you. There's so many tips like give your best stuff away for free. All those different cool little tips. Mm-hmm. Well, use the forward and reverse button on your podcast platform or on YouTube. If you're watching on YouTube here, and save those or listen to it over and over again. What do you say about free? Oh yeah, give my best stuff away. I've wrote it down. That's going to go on my wall of things to keep track of. Okay, here's the thing. I know I hear people go, your podcast is 28 minutes. It's too long. Well, you can watch it washing dishes or whatever, but if it's too long or you run out, if there's 8 minutes in the podcast that changes your life, me and Andrew are going to be super pumped. Mm-hmm. If that's what keeps you to learn, let's do that. We'd love for you to watch the whole show or listen to the whole show. Do that. But always keep in mind, this is made to motivate, inspire, and educate you. If you find one of those 3 or all 3, it's game changer. Yeah. Don't forget about my TV show, Fridays at 2 p.m. And it's 5 p.m. Eastern. I hate time zones. I forget. On a short little note, Andrew's going to be on my podcast or a TV show. He doesn't know that yet, but he just got invited.
Sure.
Hey, how about, we're going to bring him on. There's so much to talk about more. The other thing is doing business with a servant's heart. I want to get the message out. You can hear how Andrew's doing it, being successful. You all can do it too. Let's get you some t-shirts, hoodies, or hats that you can wear around and get that message out so people can hear it, see it, and let's share that wonderful message. As I always say, me and Andrew, thank you so much for listening to this podcast or watching it. We'll see you on the next episode of Doing Business with a Servant's Heart. See y'all.